And we're live.
We are live, yes. Let's see. Let's
Live
maybe
and
one.
alive in the cold Sweden, or what do you say, Henrik?
Yes, really. I'm hiding away from the cold today, deep down under, I would say, surface level, in a old bank vault co-working space. It's actually a real background. It's not a backdrop.
Wow, that's you could yeah, I wouldn't know.
You will probably see some people moving around during the call.
Yeah. Oh, but that's awesome. So first of all, thank you for taking your time, Henrik, to join us here at the Future Talent Council and share some expertise in this ever-moving field of AI. I think this is something that a lot of people are thinking about.
Mm.
Some of course, are testing and doing it really, really well. So I think this could be, wonderful to hear your perspective on the AI agents.
Yeah.
And I'll be around. I'll can moderate the chat, etc. So just bombard Henrik with questions. As always, we are recording this. We will upload it to our respective circles because both Lead with AI and Future Talent Council are circle users. So the information will be available after the session.
That sounds great, Carl. And as you said, everyone on the call, don't hesitate to fire away any questions or reflections or whatever. And if both Pavel and Carl can help me with moderating the chat, meanwhile we are presenting, that's great. So just break in whenever, stop me. If I'm in the middle of a slide, that's perfectly fine.
Amazing. All right, let's get started.
Let's get started. And I'll start sharing my screen here. Let me know when we are there, when it works well.
Now we can see you.
That's
And the
great.
slides. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you, Carl and Future Talent Council for having us on this call, talking to your members and exciting people with similar interests. That's always great. And today we have set a headline for that's called Don't Fall Behind, or talking about the AI assistant that busy non-technical leaders are using right now from our perspective. So I think that will be relevant for the entire audience. I am Henrik. I'm the co-founder and managing director for Europe for Lead with AI. And also probably worth mentioning is also that I'm a past executive within the Fortune 500. But I think we'll come back to that, Carl. First, I think we should just mention a few words around the people on the call and the audience and the work that you do with your members.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And as you know, we do the Talent Market Outlook 2026. So we did ask a few questions about AI and how far organizations have gotten in terms of the AI adoption. As you can see to the left, there are some that are, if we start from the bottom, unclear, they are in the awareness space. More than a third is in the experimentation and piloting phase. And then, it goes down, 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 up to a few that are saying that they are in a transformation or, above the strategic phase of AI adoption. And as always, those are the cases that are super extra relevant to hear about and, see what they're doing be and be able to share that back with other members and anyone in the world, because I think that's a very important piece with AI, that sharing what you're doing and how the results are is how we can spread the AI knowledge globally. And then we also looked at the confidence in using AI, and I would say the average, we had over 100 executives, answering this one. The average was 7.4. I don't know what you would say, Henrik, from a training perspective, but I thought that, that was quite high. I wouldn't almost score myself that high. And even though I've taken, for example, your AI training and I use it, in my daily work. And then, of
Mm.
course, there are some that are on the lower end, and some are moderate. But
Yeah.
what would
Yeah.
you say on that?
It is a high measure, to be
Yeah.
honest. And I don't know the reasons for that. Maybe because of the audience is really on the forefront of working with AI, or as we also see in working with a lot of large, mid-sized organizations, there can be, I would say, a fraction of people overrating themselves because they haven't really seen where it can take you. So feeling confident, yes, that can mean being really successful in prompting, for example. It can also mean that you have a swarm of AI agents. I'd say that the truth is somewhere in between when it comes to ambitious leaders. But if we look at our AI fluency matrix from our 2 years of past experience of working with non-technical leaders in firms and companies, I would say that from on that 5 graded fluency matrix scale, most people are on level 1.
Yeah.
So it is it's really different depending on which type of question you ask, what kind of organization and segment that we are moving in.
Yeah, these are mostly, executives they've maybe taken, in 2025, they probably realized, they need to take a step in terms of understanding AI and using it and testing it, and aren't afraid of testing it, so to say. But Henrik, you used to be also, if we want to hear a little bit more about you, I think that's the next slide, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Good segue. So who I am? Yeah, I'm the co-founder and managing director for Europe for Lead with AI. But earlier, I've spent 20 plus years in the Fortune 500 environment, either as an executive myself or a strategy consultant, giving advice to mostly the Fortune 500 companies. But over the last years, I've been focusing really on work related to strategy, to growth, and really going in deep into the future of work movement, of really understanding future of leadership, flexible working, hybrid working, how technology changes organizations, operating models, and of course, AI. To the degree that I also invested a lot in myself when it comes to understanding AI by taking the Lead with AI executive boot camp 18 months ago, and quickly realized that I could build a strong team of 20 agents that actually could free up a lot of time for me. Actually, in the last months of working, I freed up 2 days a week in my role as head of strategy for Europe for Sodexo. So I've been exploring a lot with new types of leadership and AI, and really building myself. So I'm a good example of an augmented executive. And today I work a lot with our enterprise clients, where we transform companies from a people-centric perspective, drawing upon my experience as an executive myself. So that's yeah, Carl, that's the brief introduction. I guess I'll just kick it off. I mentioned a few things that we do already, but we do executive training in Lead with AI, where we have open programs for non-technical leaders to upskill and become and know the top 1% AI behaviors and usage within just 2 weeks. We have a executive AI intelligence community where we work with our community on making sure that they have the latest and the greatest moves on how to work with AI in their organization. We obviously do workshops. We also do these enterprise programs, which we call champions programs, where we equip leaders to drive AI transformation in their organizations. And I would say the biggest job we do is when we become an OWL, or an organizational wide learning partner, where we take on the full organization of a client and make sure that their complete organization knows on which level their team members are, their individuals, and where they should be, to invest in the right way and make sure they continuously keep up with the evolution of AI. So we do, for first and foremost, these three things of the open programs, enterprise programs, and organization-wide learning. And we do that with a number of clients, a few of them on the screen, and not to mention everyone, but we work with McKinsey, BCG, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, EY, Toyota, BP, so on and so forth. And we have taken over 1,300 leaders through our programs over the last couple of years. And today we're going to look at what matters in 2026. We're going to look at some real world use cases, and we'll end up with some Q&A in the end. So the state of AI in February 2026 is probably common knowledge to a few of you. But if you look at the journey of users of adoption from ChatGPT perspective from November 2023 to 2025 in July, it has really exploded and ramped up. So the real numbers today probably are closer to some 800, 900 million users only on ChatGPT. Adding, I would say, Gemini users, Claude users, and other tools into the mix, the numbers say that we are now on slightly over 1 billion users that use AI frequently. ChatGPT is still in the lead, but a few others catching up due to better capabilities, better performance, and more reasoning type of AI capabilities. And this is what we're going to dig deeper in today. So today, where are we right now? Looking at the tools, what they can do. We have video generation with Sora, for example, that you see on this top left screen. And we have everything around infographics when it comes to Nano Banana Pro, for example, from Google. And these videos that you see here on the screen, or the graphics, you can do with one single prompt. That is where the capability is right now from a graphics perspective. Obviously, the rest of analytics, or qualitative or quantitative analytics, becoming stronger by the month. And nowadays, we can also work with Excel agents, PowerPoint agents, and really speeding up all of that office work that most people can do. Then there is also more specialized AI tools like Lovable in the down right corner here, where you basically can build an app or a homepage with a one single prompt in vibe coding style. So you could actually do a copy of Airbnb, for example, in less than 2 minutes. So this is where the capability of the tools are right now. And what has also happened lately is that Gmail has added Gemini into the suite, which makes it possible for anyone to really increase productivity of all that outreach or all that incoming emails, automated text, proposed text. You can even include your gems or similarly custom GPTs into your email folder to really increase your productivity. That's, of course, a huge advantage for a company like Google, where it's not the same for ChatGPT because they're not integrated into calendars and emails and files and all of these things. But this is a huge leap towards individual productivity. What has also happened lately is that now ChatGPT 5.2 is inside Copilot. Finally, some people may say, but also here, of course, you can do as you can do on the other LLMs. You can choose between if it should do quick work or if it really should think deeply. And this is a big unlock for the Copilot users of this world. And that's a lot of people who are Microsoft companies who may sit inside an AI policy that only allows for Copilot AI usage. So this has actually been a breaker for some organizations going forward, but now Copilot is actually improving a lot. Interestingly, as the launch of Gemini 3.0 in November, there was a code red from a GPT perspective, or OpenAI put a code red because Gemini had some capabilities that the former version of GPT didn't have. But nowadays, with ChatGPT 5.2, you can see for the first time that it actually outcompetes human expert level across 44 different types of occupations. So whomever knows to use ChatGPT like this have PhD level expert in their pocket that actually exceeds human expert work. And of course, what has happened lately as well is that it hallucinates 30% less. So what does this create? What kind of movement are we in? For example, you see on the screen the CEO of Zapier going out really clearly saying that they only hire people who are AI fluent. This goes back to your question and your assessment, Carl, like how confident are you in AI? It's a really fluffy question, right? But what Zapier did is that they also developed one of the first AI fluency matrices in the world as a response to this post, because he was really criticized. Okay, what does it even mean? Yeah, hold my beer. And they built this AI fluency matrix by role, by department, and what kind of behaviors, what kind of tools you need to be upskilled on and really know and get the productivity or efficiency or capability increase from that. So they actually built one of the first fluency matrices. Another interesting thing that has happened lately is Boston Consulting Group's report saying that the more money you invest from an AI perspective or from an AI budget perspective, the higher the returns. So not only on the growth, on the revenue increase, they increase right now or since 2024, 5.3x faster on the revenue, but also save 3 times more money. And the equation goes forward looking at 2028, where this increase coupled with higher investments will still be there. So in 2028, the expectation is to grow 2.1 times faster on a revenue level, and as well, of course, on a cost reduction level, 1.4 times. So the business case is clear. What is not clear with this research is whether this was by only letting people go, or is actually AI-related productivity gains. Super difficult to measure, and that's a question that many have, but no one has really answered. Going forward, what we see now for 2026 is more and more that people want to become, as Josh Persin, former Deloitte consultant, calls a super worker, meaning that you are now augmented. You can scale your good sides and you can get rid of your bad sides and really augment yourself and increase your output, say 3 to 4 times. And that brings me to a really practical example that we wanted to share today. I wanted to share a few of the agents and assistants that I built. Some of them I built during my time as head of strategy over Europe, with thousands and thousands of employees and clients to work with. And Magnus, I built quite early on, really understanding that I needed a chief of staff that could oversee the work I do, my priorities, and really give me a prioritized set of lists with reasoning on what the logic steps of my actions should be. So more or less an executive assistant for me in my role as head of strategy. That really helped me to improve my quality of work, to really invest my time right. And looking down to the left-hand corner, I have an agent that I call Jara. She's my strategy consultant. She really helped out with the strategy work. Think like the M&A agenda, investments, divestments, really analyzing compound aggregated growth rates on different products and services over time, local markets, competitor analysis, trend analysis, and these things. So before being augmented, I led that strategy work for Europe in a manual format. We'd spent 3 months a year in 18 leadership teams with 10 people in each. So the business case was to come down from approximately 150,000 man hours. And I felt cocky enough a year ago to test that off with the agents. And this is not to sound arrogant, but I came to a conclusion that I could produce something similar to the entire strategy report for 18 countries and a European level country strategy in one day, including an automated PowerPoint presentation. So Jara has been a huge co-worker of mine from an AI perspective, built on ChatGPT custom GPTs, and I say around 100 hours per report is being saved by only working with Jara. Interestingly enough as well, I think to mention here is the recent evolutions of Gemini. So nowadays I work in the Gemini G Suite. For example, I built Eric, the buyer persona expert. So whenever I am, as I often am, in client situations and sales situations, doing advice on AI transformation, every time before a client meeting, 10 minutes before it, I get a download from Eric on the actual buyer persona. So I know what the company is, what their challenges are, and what the type of persona I'm going to meet in that meeting. So I get talking points and how to really think in that session, in that meeting. That's also something that increases, of course, deals closed, but also really decreases spent time on preparing and doing manual information search and these type of things. Max at 9 o'clock here is a keynote thought partner that I have. I do a lot of keynotes externally, either in webinar format or in live format. I built that in a combination of NotebookLM, ChatGPT, and quite often Gamma AI. But what it does is that it has all my former presentation as a second brain. So now whenever I'm doing a new presentation or asked to do a new presentation, I can just shift the angle a bit and it spits out the proposed format for that keynote, and easily take that output from content to a PowerPoint presentation. That's also work many do, probably many in the audience do as well. But formerly, before being augmented, I would spend that time on doing the actual PowerPoint myself. I would build a storyline, I would build a straw man, I would bring in a few of the earlier slides I've been doing and really try to fit them around. So I think at least 8 hours per keynote is being saved by having this Max Keynote thought partner. Also, lately, what has happened is that Claude has become really, really good at quantitative analysis. And as a former strategy consultant and a former strategy executive, you can do all of the qualitative analysis in the world that you want to do with the help of, for example, ChatGPT. But nowadays, the golden, I would say, thing with Claude for me is that it really handles math. It's easy to build business cases, investment cases, M&A cases with help of Bill, the CFO executive decision maker. So I can prepare and combine the output from Magnus and Jera into an Excel spreadsheet business case for decision making with help of Bill. So these are a few examples that I have built that really resonate with me as an executive and a leader, that really helps me to become more productive, but also unlock new capabilities that I've had as weaknesses before. So that brings me to a situation where I saved 2 days a week in time, but I also do new things, such as becoming more human, spending more time on external events and really building relationships instead of doing PowerPoints and Excel spreadsheets. So I think that is a practical example of how we see also how we work with clients and executives on building their own tailored ecosystem. But we also see at the same time, as per your question, Carl, where are companies and people right now? And the irony is that if you look at augmenting or really fully automating a full workflow and task, there is now research pointing at the productivity actually decreasing because there is not a human in the loop. So there is a lot of time connected to that type of full automation work because of bad output, AI slob, really, not really prompting well, or that automation may not be, say, delegated well enough. So it actually spits out the wrong stuff, and we need to correct stuff instead because we have went all in automation. But AI supported collaboration, like in scenario B. This is where you really, really, really get compound effects, both from efficiency, productivity, and capability. That's where you're always in the loop as a human. When you take a few steps, you decide as a human what to do on your end, and then delegate the task back again, and you maybe get a new result from a different agent, and you really take these workflows step by step with the help of AI. And that's where the real unlock and value comes. And the easy way to tell it is to start with the pain, right? Every person has pains in their jobs or where their jobs really suck the most. stuff that people don't like. So pick one of those recurring time drains and really map out what happens when you do that. Have a look what you really have to do as a human to create high quality output, and outsource the rest and build an agent, an assistant in Copilot, Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT, or Mistral, whatever it may be, and really make part of that collaboration and use AI as a thinking partner. Do not automate everything, because that, I would say, comes back to you at the later end when the output is bad. So this is the way of starting with the pains, really seeing what you can do and really have to do and what you want to do still as a human. And that's basically, if you really would simplify as much as possible what we do in our open programs, see it on the screen, where we take executives through a 2-week program, 30-minute exercise per day, really tailored from an intake interview that makes all of these lessons during these 2 weeks tailored to every individual, and they leave with 6 assistants. We just wrapped up the first in 2026 for January, ended up with an NPS score of 88%, which is world-class. We're super happy for that, of course. 100% of the participants left with 5 or 6 assistants, and they indicate that they will save 30 to 50% of their work time going forward and invest in other things. So if anyone is interested, please hook up and find us on internet, and you will be able to register for March. February is already ongoing and sold out as well. But you will also get an early bird rebate whenever you subscribe to the waiting list of the March cohort. Talking about that, the CEO of OpenAI, he talks about, why don't we just imagine AI as a real but relatively junior virtual coworker, where you can outsource. They work 24/7. They don't even require a salary. Yeah, tiny bit smaller one. But then think bigger, maybe having 100s of them, thousands or millions of them doing all of that dreadful work that we don't need to do. That's the story here. We need to understand as humans how to collaborate and build those to really excel with help of AI. It's not this executive dialogue around finding the use cases and trying to automate processes. It's the other way around. Augment first, then automate, or slightly parallel. We see this every day with our work with companies. So the actual journey, again, coming back to your first slide, Carl, where are people? How confident are we? This is the natural progression, right? From learning how to prompt well, not only like Google prompt, as a lot of people do still, I would say the majority, but also then taking the next step of really understanding how to super prompt, how to use different types of advanced methodologies to really get the right type of data, and then build assistants like custom GPTs or GPT projects, or gems if you're a Gemini user, or Claude skills. And then after that, looking at finding out how to automate with tools like Zapier, N8N, Make, and really getting into this autonomous AI agent field as an ultimate goal right now. So most people are somewhere between prompting and super prompting. People who have gotten formal training, yes, they have some assistance. So the current shift is from going from chat to agency. And what Boston Consulting Group has identified, again, is this inflection point of really figuring out and analyzing all of their clients who are actually getting a return on investment on their AI investments. So as you see on the screen on the visualization, that inflection point is between stage 3 and stage 4. So what that says is that over 85% of people who use AI, they are stuck in either stage 1, 2, or 3, where they use it for information assistant, task assistance, or delegation. But stage 4 is where it really starts to create some value, where you have 5 or 6 agents in your workflows, where you're sharing those workflows with your colleagues or peers or team members in other parts of the world or in the same organizations, or with consultants, so on and so forth. So the semi-autonomous companies and individuals are the ones that really find value. And according to Boston Consulting Group, 1.7 times larger revenue growth whenever you are in that stage 4 and onwards. So there is a leadership trap. I've already been talking about that, and the move towards delegation engineering is quite interesting to spend some time on. We stole this slide from OpenAI, where we actually figured out that some of the most senior programmers and software engineers at OpenAI, who is actually developing this fantastic innovation, they also feel that they are behind, right? I know that I probably could 10x myself if I only had the time to build that swarm of agents to help me out. So even those people who are really, really confident in AI, they haven't really, most often the case, gotten that 10x or 3 to 4x output because they haven't really had time or opportunity to build that system around them. So comparing that to the typical user who learn a little by just doing, that gap between the frontier people and typical user is a yawning gap that is increasing. Sometimes because of policy in companies that are really strict, saying, yes, we can only use Copilot, for example. This is one of the reasons that you get late adoption or slow adoption, because you haven't really proven the value people get from different types and really understanding what it is and what it is not, and really adopting it to their own workflows. Ethan Mollick, that's a topic, a professor I would like everyone to follow on LinkedIn. He puts really interesting things daily on LinkedIn. Not so long ago, he shared a story about UPenn, an executive MBA sprint, where the scholars were told to build startups with the help of AI. And the results were massive, right? They came further within a couple of weeks than a whole semester would have been required for people who didn't use AI just 1 year ago. So yes, the results were fantastic, but the real conclusion was that delegation engineering is the new skill to understand, which means more or less, how do you as a person delegate your tasks to the AI? And really using the right type of information. You can use design briefs, project plans, scope of work, not really writing that yourself, but really using what is already existing to really get the right context and provide clear guardrails from what actually to feed these tools with for the task that you're looking at. And I think that's one of the super interesting conclusions as well, because the future CEOs, they treat this as behaviors, not tooling. CHROs, they treat it as an organizational design item of really understanding which part of the organization should know what. And the CIO is there to reduce the risk, but also, of course, to unlock and do the investments when it comes to the right technology. So the path forward, I've been touching upon that already a few times. We have built our AI fluency matrix that is built on the actual behaviors people have, quite similar to your exercise, Carl, where you're measuring confidence. But here it's also based on real actual work and behaviors. So the level 0 is the people who are at risk, right? Who use it in riskful and harmful ways. They may be really skeptic or laggards when it comes to corporate transformation. Level 1 is foundational. You know how to prompt and how to use it responsibly within the policy. Level 2 is integrated AI fluency, where you have a set of 5, 6 different types of assistants and agents that really start providing value. Level 3 is the same level as we do in these open programs, where you really equip leaders to be able to go out there and be the transformative, be the leaders to lead the transformation inside the company as embedded experts, really the go-to people to ask for how to augment a team. Level 4, transformative AI fluency, maybe 1-2% of any given organization, typical chief AI officer or CIO. So this is how we see it. Most people are honestly on level 1, if you take it on average on everyone. Some people are on level 2, very few on level 3, and hardly anyone on level 4. So as I said, I'm going to skip this slide because of time reasons, but what we see is to equip embedded operators in any given organization is the right way to do it if you want to do AI transformation real and really get adoption fast. Because then when people understand how to use AI, they can also start thinking about how to redesign processes. But if you start with processes instead, people will not understand, and then skepticism will grow instead. There are a few cool examples of this. I'll skip this one as well. So in the end, we are in a situation where we are going from chat to agency and chat to action. A lot of people are stuck in levels 1, 2 from our AI fluency matrix, where they haven't really integrated AI agents into their workflows. So what we as well see on the right-hand side here going forward is that we really need to, as human species, understand delegation engineering. What are we feeding our AI with to get the right type of output, and really scaling that as a behavior instead of looking at it as a tool challenge. What's interesting as well is, particularly in a large organization, is leaders versus algorithmic checkers. So companies and organizations who have come a bit further on the way, this is where sometimes it happens that middle managers becomes checkers of output, but not knowing the actual way to that output. So they get a series of dashboards to take decisions on, but they are responsible for the output, but they can't do anything. So instead, looking at how to make leaders again, because nobody probably wants to be an algorithmic checker, or no one wants to have such a person as a boss either. The way to do it is to deploy these embedded operators that really enthuse, share examples, show how it can be done, train the people on a weekly basis. So that's the presentation, Carl. And again, we are so open for any type of questions that we may have, or if something has come up in the chat, you haven't shouted loud, so I guess there aren't that many questions in the chat. But I think we should open up to see if there are any questions here.
Nothing has popped up yet. I think this what I would call, when you're a sponge, right? You are listening to, hear what's going on. And first of all, very insightful. I think this is, the things that you maybe read about, but you haven't seen in this, structured way. Do you have, and I remember once you said that you did a presentation, and in the meantime you had your agents working. Is that the case here as well? Do you have agents working now on behind the scenes for you?
Yes, we do. We try to walk the talk, and we try to build as much as we can when we grow the company and really have agents instead of people. We don't see it as a reason to be big, but we can create a big output. And for me myself, yes, a lot of different agents go in, and I think we had a interesting discussion yesterday. Like if you start with working with ChatGPT and it learns a lot about you for a month or for 6 months or 12 months, then it really knows you, right? Then it's difficult to shift models.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to balance my usage of Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT, Perplexity sometimes, but they actually are for different types of use cases. So the other model knows stuff that the other one doesn't.
No, exactly. No, I have, I tried to, when, for example, like over Christmas, that's when I upgraded to ChatGPT Pro, because I know I was gonna have some time off from work, and also be able to test it. But and all I have always been using Gmail, right? So I think that was
Mm.
also in the middle of my training with you guys that Gmail or Google or Alphabet, whatever you want to call them, decided, hey, we want to, enter the AI competition, and it has saved me so much time with all of these things that I have in my, in my inbox, in my calendar, in pre-written messages. Yeah, that really went super fast from my end, and
Mm.
but I would say what I would ask you is like, okay, after this meeting, maybe you get the presentation or you read or something. If you want to
Mm.
try like a basic agent, as you mentioned, like the first, like what is a very typical use case for that? Find a pain point, like, but walk me into the detail as I was, opening up my
Yeah.
Claude or
So
ChatGPT.
Uh, we have demo days once a month, and we see the most fantastic demos of what people are building. But a lot of people, they are building a chief of staff agent
Mm,
that really is trained on the actual workflows, the type of decisions, the type of administrative tasks or updates, metrics that that person really follows. So we see that both from a Gemini Gem perspective, but a custom GPT perspective, that that seems to be super powerful, helping people to get organized, take decisions, put actions in order, and really reason deeply why that sequence matters and how the things are independent or dependent on each other. So that is a frequent use case. Quite advanced, but something that is highly, highly valuable for many people.
yeah. So if I press this one. Okay, I'm answering live. How do you educate executives to avoid full delegation versus leading AI?
To avoid full delegation, yes, I
Yeah.
think it's a brilliant question, because full delegation is not probably what anyone should be aiming at all. Because what is best is when people feel that they get some more time back to maybe spend with their kids or family or neglected relationships, or whenever they get some capabilities in doing things that they really thrive on doing because they didn't believe they could do these things. But if you would go into full delegation and really do everything, I think that's taking it way too far. That's when actual performance drops with 17%, according to research, because the output most of the time is worse than if a human would have done it fully manually, because you
Yeah.
have to do a lot of rework and these kind of things. So it's not an advice to do at all, but to break down the everyday work, really seek out what am I still going to do? What are the things that I love to do? Where do we need to have human touch? For example, one of the banks that really was early on AI augmentation for the whole operating system, they also outsourced to AI the contact with all their clients, which pissed off the clients to the degree that revenue really decreased quite a
Yeah.
lot. So they had to take that back and install humans again to do the human interactions. So there are a lot of examples and use cases where full automation or full augmentation or full delegation is a really bad idea.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And going back to, we got a question from Tom.
Mm.
In the middle of your deck, you talked about the scenario A versus scenario B. Could you give an example of that, please? And what might B look in the wild?
Let's see here what that can be.
Yeah,
Just want
exactly.
to make sure I will go back here.
Yeah.
Scenario A and scenario B. This one. Yeah. I think this is the one that the question is about, where it's the AI productivity paradox. Exactly what we discussed in the prior question, right?
Yeah.
Full task AI automation actually decreases performance, and AI supported collaboration where you're always human in the loop, breaking down the task or the processes that you are in, and really making sure that you delegate rightly in every single step. That's where productivity really compounds. So I think that's the slide. I think also it's actually the same answer as in the prior question.
Yeah. No, but that's amazing. I think there will be questions, coming up later stage. People, tomorrow. Okay. Now as soon as you wanna leave, they keep on coming. This is great. Thank you, Tracy. Can you give example of large companies have created the conditions of peer adoption that you references across their companies? Do you see the question as well? It was
I didn't see the question, but I can share this slide here, where we actually have the answer to the question. Here we go. So City is one of the real interesting use cases to dig deeper in, widely available for public reading. But as you see here, they built a peer network of 4,000 AI accelerated across their 182,000 employees in 84 countries, driving 70% adoption of firm-approved AI during 2 years. So this is a huge journey, obviously, because they did exactly what we see leading organizations do. They embed these operators that are really AI fluent and really taking part and driving that transformation internally or incrementally in the organizations. I had a lunch meeting yesterday with a global head of learning at an energy production company, one of the largest in Northern Europe, where they've done the same journey with 2,000 employees, really doing the bottom-up training, figuring out how to fix peers that they can embed in the organization, and then also doing the top-down mandates on the expectations and the ambition for the full organization. So there are many use cases we can share on this, but I think the City one is super interesting. Same for Johnson Johnson, for example. They had a Let 1,000 Flowers Bloom strategy, where they really educated thousands of people to find out great use cases for them, and then they found the top 20 of them and really rolled out in the rest of the organization with help of peers as well. So it's an interesting case.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, but let's be cautious with time. We have, first of all, thank you for sharing this to the community. We really appreciate it. I think most of you will meet Henrik in Stockholm in June by the latest. If you want to hear more about any of the trainings or support or questions, they have your contact details, and if not, you can ask me or anyone at FTC. We are working closely with Henrik and the team. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Henrik, and yeah, let's see you soon.
Thank you so much, Carl. It was a pleasure to be here, and see you soon, everybody. Yes.